Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. In this video, I'm going to talk about writing the method section of an original research paper for international journals. So, following ICMJE guidelines, Equator Network reporting guidelines, I will be discussing what exactly need to be written in the method section. So when you structure your manuscript, we start with the beginning. Body of the manuscript is the middle and the end. So the introduction was the beginning. Now the method section is the body, and results is also in the body, while discussion is also part of the body, and end is the conclusion. So these three sections, they are actually very important sections: method, results, and discussion. uh, Usually the editor, it reviews, when editor or a reviewer, when he checks your manuscript, then the method section and discussion, these are two sections that need to be very clearly written, logically connected, and in line. Plus need to have, so there are so many details that need to be put in the method section, and usually we find manuscript without some essential details that lead to rejection of the paper. So why we are going to take it one by one. In original research paper, this is the same format that I've shared in previous videos as well. MRAD format: introduction, method, result, and discussion. So today we are going to explain how the data was collected. Okay, in the method section, you have to tell about the study design, the place of the study, the duration of the study, the population in which you conducted the study, or you made the measurements, the target population, study population, eligibility criteria, sample size, sampling technique, interventions, if applicable. If it's an interventional study, then you have to give a detailed account of interventions, definition of endpoints, primary endpoint and secondary endpoints, if there are secondary. So you have to define those endpoints. And important thing, that the sample size is calculated according to the endpoint. If you have set your endpoint like calculating difference between two mean, in the mean HP in two groups, and you are comparing, you will be actually measuring the difference between two means in these two groups. In that case, your sample size calculation should be on difference between two mean, using the formula of difference between two mean, and you have to use a paper, a similar kind of paper, in which the author calculated the difference between two mean. Okay, so it's very important to clearly elaborate in this method section what are your endpoints. Now then, coming to statistical analysis, that is again a very important portion of the method section. Many journals, they ask you to give a subheading of statistical analysis and mention the quantitative method, descriptive and quantitative, analytical or inferential statistics applied, and tell about the set p-value that you initially, at the start of the study, you set a p-value of 0.05 conventionally in the medical studies, and you have to specify over here. And also the software that you have used, for example SPSS or Stata or Access or any other software, you have to specify the version as well. And again, the last portion will be the ethics, informed consent, and IRB approval. You have to tell about the major ethical concerns, if any was there, any concern was there, and how you reduce them. For example, if written informed consent or verbal informed consent, you have to give a clear account of that. Then privacy, confidentiality of the data, and privacy of the patient during, if there was an examination or something like that, where privacy need to be ensured, how you did that, you have to mention over here. Then the equity and the beneficence, non-maleficence, and the justice principles, whatever can be applicable, the Helsinki's declaration, you can even cite that over here, then that you have managed to reduce the ethical issues. And you got a formal IRB approval from IRB, of any institute or a national bioethics committee or a provincial bioethics committee. So you have to mention over here the name of the IRB as well as the number that you got the approval on that number. You have to mention over there. Okay. So coming to this is a chart that explains everything, every important part of the method section. So starting from the design, you have to a cross-sectional study or a randomized control trial was conducted in 2024 from June to December at Sheikh Zayed Hospital, Lahore, Pakistan, in a medical OPD, in the medical OPD of Sheikh Zayed Hospital, Lahore, Pakistan. Full stop. Okay. So you, in one sentence, you have explained the design, the duration and time of the study, the place or setting of the study. Now you can start with, or you can continue the sentence on females, on 200 females of reproductive age, married females of reproductive age of with parity 1, for example. You can, so you are actually adding the eligibility criteria into the sentence. So you are telling about the population, your target population, reproductive age females, or your your study population is the females visiting your center or Sheikh Zayed Hospital, and these females are 200 and they are married and with one parity, and they were conveniently selected or randomly selected or systematic or through systematic random sampling were selected in the study. Okay, so you, even in one sentence you can complete give the detail of these 4 5 things, or you can make 2 sentences of that. So now just 2 or 3 sentences are being done, and you have enough space or enough word count left for the method section. Usually method section, again, it's from 500 to 700 words. That's enough. And if you can make a flow chart, if there is a consort, you are doing an RCT, you have a consort framework, you can add as a figure consort framework with all the details in it. Okay. And if you don't have a consort framework, you are working on strobe guidelines. It's a cross-sectional case control or a cohort study which on which the strobe guidelines are applied. Then in that case you can just make a chart figure of showing a case control groups and looking into the different risk factors, and so that can be in a diagrammatic way. So, okay, coming to now you have to talk about the variables. What kind of variable? If it is an analytical design or design starting with 2 groups, always the analytical designs, they either start with 2 groups or they have comparison within them. So if you are comparing, you are assessing a difference between 2 variables, or the association between 2 variables. In that case, you have predictor or exposure variable, you have outcome variables, and you have confounders. Confounders are the third variables which are actually creating bias in your study. So confounding bias is a type of bias. And what is bias? Bias is a systematic error that can arise within your study, starting from the design till the end. At any time it can arise, and it is due to a systematic error that you make during the study, execution of the study, or the planning of the study, or even in the analysis. So we have to control the confounders. We have to control the effect of the confounders, and there are other third variables as well. So I will be making another video on what is a third variable and what are different types of third variable. Okay, so here just to give you an idea that you have to write all variables, all confounders which you have identified through literature, and you have to define, you have to give their operational definition over here. Okay, now coming to after variables, you are going to write the statistical analysis that I have already explained in the last slide. And the ethical consideration, you have to give your IRB approval number and the name of the IRB. You have to, if this is trial, then you have to give a trial registration number. For example, clinicaltrial.gov, it's a platform that gives you opportunity to register your trial. Even if it's half done, you can get it registered retrospectively, and you can, after completion, you can add your result to that trial. So if you visit that site, you can see multiple trials. They are completed, some are ongoing, some are recruiting, and there are many observational studies. They're also registered over there. So this platform can be used to register your study. That number will be written over here, but at least for RCT, you have to give that number. So now talking about the IRB. IRB review is usually at three levels: a full board review, a expedited review, and exemption. Full board review, if you have more than minimal risk to subjects. So human subject protection is very important. So we don't want them to be exposed to more than minimal risk. So if there is more than minimal risk, then a full board review is needed, and it's not covered under other review categories. Example, interventions involving physical or emotional discomfort or sensitive data like HIV data, family planning data, or some intervention like taking a pap smear or drawing of blood. In expedited review, not greater than minimal risk. In that case, you can do expedited review and fits one of the 9 expedited review categories. There are different categories. For example, collection of biospecimens by non-invasive means, research with existing documents or records, secondary data you are collecting for non-research purposes in which subjects are identifiable. In that case, you can allow for expedited review. Exemption, less than minimal risk, that can go within that proposal can go for exemption, that manuscript can go for exemption. Fits one of the 6 exemption categories. For example, research with de-identified records, anonymous surveys. In that case, you can give exemption. Okay, so this is a small short video showing knowledge, attitude, and self-care practices among patients with type 2 diabetes. There is a abstract background method results of the abstract. Now coming to the uh, section, introduction section, after this is the whole abstract that is being mentioned over here, that it's the total N is mentioned, and the key findings are mentioned over here, keywords. And now this is the body of the text, the body of the manuscript, starting from introduction. There are references given, and they are different because probably this journal accept references in author date style. That's why the references are written like that. Then there is methodology, a cross-section survey to assess the knowledge and practices of people with diabetes were conducted in general population from June 2014 to October 2014. So time is given, population is given, design is given, the sample size is given, and the calculation formula is given, the base on which the 7% prevalence was taken for calculation of the sample size from previous study. The bound of error is mentioned, confidence interval is mentioned, sample size, again, it was inflated to cover the non-response, and how they missed information or poorly filled questionnaire were handled, it is mentioned over here, and the version of SPS is mentioned. Or so you can see the plan of analysis is also mentioned. Chi-square p-value less than 0.5, 0.05 was taken as significant. Coming to the results, so here the methodology ends. So this is, I think, sufficient methodology, but they could have given more detail as well about the operational definition of variable. So this is another study that where the study setting is separately mentioned. There are multiple districts involved, participant selection is mentioned, how the participants were recruited and how they were selected, and the data collection procedure is mentioned. And the online supplemental material is also given. For example, they have attached the questionnaire as online supplemental material. And here they have given the important categories in the questionnaire. So this is another way of writing the methodology or method section. The more elaborated way, or you can say more understandable for the reader. Here you can see socio-demographic, caregiver and child self-reported vaccine history, caregiver awareness and attitude. Questions are not given here, but only the areas or main themes, or you can say the categories of questions, they are mentioned over here. Caregiver reported reasons, caregiver feedback. So now the key definitions, these are the actually the operational definitions. Maybe some standard definitions are also used. That's why they use the term key definitions. Like MOV is the missed opportunity for vaccination. It's a standard definition, so that's why they're using it. So another important thing, what is operational definition? Operational definition is when you modify some definition according to your context, according to your study, then in that definition is an operational definition. For example, knowledge in my study, knowledge about dengue in my study will be differently assessed. I might assess, give 10 questions to assess dengue, the knowledge about dengue. In another study, the same knowledge variable is being assessed using 20 questions. So I have to give the operational definition of knowledge for my study because I will mention that I will be using 10 questions in a self-constructed questionnaire about, and the question will be from these areas. So that is the operational definition. And who will assess that and how it will be done? Statistical analysis. Again, the section is mentioned. Public and patient involvement section is also mentioned. This is interesting. So this is something different. Usually in the method section, they are not talking about public and patient involvement, but that's great. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions or comments, please give in the comment section and I will try to address them. Thank you.